Hi, I'm Kevin Mahan.
And I'm Sam Chaplin.
I host the Attitude Era podcast.
And I haven't seen any films.
And welcome to Cinema Swirl. Hello everyone and welcome to Cinema Swirl, episode number 18, and it's our journey through Tinseltown in Hollywood, California, dancing through the fields of Hollywood itself. Hello everyone, once again, I'm Kevin, joined as I am always by my OTP and partner in crime when it comes to looking at movies he has not seen anymore, Sam Chaplin.
Hiya, hello.
How's things, Sam?
Good.
Yeah? Sorry, I just can't help but immediately mention that you're at a big wedding in Scunthorpe.
I was, yeah.
It's rare, like, that's such an Irish thing, you know. I was at a big wedding in shit town name.
Yeah.
No offense to Scunthorpe, but
all the people who are getting married.
Or the people getting married, you know. But I just love the idea of you at a big wedding in Scunthorpe.
In Scunny. Yeah.
Do you have a nice time?
Yeah.
This is a bit of a special episode.
Wasn't my wedding, just for
clarification. Yeah, no, we had a crazy new idea for a podcast that me and Sam would watch a wedding and then we would commentate on it like, oh, I didn't really think they loved each other. You know, it was fun. But tell me,
3-star wives.
3-star wives. You heard it here first.
3 wedding bands.
Three I do's. You heard it here first. This is a bit of a special one. Mm-hmm. This is, I'm going to say right now, from the marketing mind and genius of Sam Chaplin, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Comes this piece of absolute out of the left field. Pow! You've been swerved right in the face. We're doing Back to the Future 2.
Yeah.
I've been hyping it up saying it's a mystery episode.
Yes.
And people have been like...
Nobody has guessed it apart from the couple of people who've guessed it.
One or two people guessed it. But what was odd about it was that I literally said the next episode of Cinema Swirl is a secret one. Yeah. And I made allusions to it being recorded in an underground bunker. Because obviously, if you want to keep something secret, you have to do it deep beneath the Earth's crust. Yeah. That's just duh. But a lot of people are like, it's obviously like Friday the 13th. It's obviously going to be the Rocky Horror Picture. I don't know how people got so confident. Well, this is great. October 21st.
Yes, which it is today.
Totally. We've actually recorded, edited, and watched this entire podcast in a day. And because that's how hard working we are.
Yeah. We clocked in at midnight.
Yeah.
Just worked through the night.
Full day. At the end of this now, it's covered in soot, except for where we've taken off our podcast goggles, where there is obviously a chalky white outline.
Yeah.
This is a bit of an interesting one.
Yes.
Back to the Future 2.
It's a second sequel.
Yes.
I think, so far.
Not one I thought we would be doing.
Not quite as soon.
Not quite as soon.
But it seemed apropos to do it now. Yeah.
Just so we're all clear, folks, the reason this date has significance is that Back to the Future 2, spoiler alert, involves them travelling into the future. Specifically October 21st, 2015.
Are we sure of that?
I mean, I'm kind of taking your word for it and the fact that everyone else seems to be saying it.
We could have been caught out by one of those Tumblr accounts that just post the same date every day.
I mean, the only way I'm like confirmed about this is kind of like, oh, well, I saw an article on The Guardian that referenced it, so therefore it has to be the day. But if we all have the same source, which is some prick on Tumblr, we could all be being collectively hoodwinked.
Yeah, well, we'll find out when we watch the film.
We find out when we watch the movie and this bit is heavily edited and then released at a later date. Like, I mean, if it turns out that it's October 21st, 2016, this one's going to be in the bank for a bit of a Back to the Future 2, I mean, were you excited about returning to the franchise?
Famously, in Cinema Swirl lore...
Cinema Swirl canon. Yeah.
Back to the Future is one of the ones that I didn't especially like.
I think it was not... You can say you didn't like it.
It's one that I didn't like.
Because, I mean, I think you tried to really soften the blow of the fact that you just didn't like the movie.
People love that film.
They do.
I didn't.
I mean, I'll be honest, we have gotten a few tweets anytime we do, like, kind of one of those kind of, childhood.
Yeah.
And people going, I don't know if I can listen to this episode because Sam didn't like Back to the Future, and I don't think I can go through this again. Now, obviously, my eyes is on the bottom line.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about listens.
Yeah.
And I'm worried now that if you don't like this, we're going to have loads of people downloading the podcast, grand, but then looking at it going, what if he doesn't like it?
I don't know if I can go through, and then
You know, and I'm just saying you right now, as your co-host and producer, if you don't like this fucking movie, there's seriously going to be issues.
It's strange to me how much weight my opinion carries.
I mean, I'm just letting you know, okay? Cinema Swirl had a simple premise. Me and you sit down and I show you all the movies that you're meant to love and you love them. What's so difficult about that? What don't you guess about that?
Every episode, 5-star wipes.
5-star wipes. 5-star wipes. All I want to know is how brilliant you thought something was. Not if, and, or but. How? How brilliant was it?
Great movie or greatest movie? That's the question.
Greater or greatest? That's what we could call the podcast.
Yeah.
It's fantastic with Sam Chaplin. Before we get into the meat of the matter at hand, let's perhaps dip our toes into the mailbag. I'll be honest, Sam, I mean, one of the things I think I like most about this podcast now is the theme song for the mailbag.
Right, okay.
And I do thank everyone who sends continually messages into cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
That's cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
And solely because we can keep having this segment and I get to keep hearing that lovely little bit of a jingle, you know. I'm saying it's the nicest thing anyone's done out of spite for me in my entire life, you know. I like to think that when you were making that, you had this'll show them, you know. We got a few messages in here, and thank you again, everyone who sends in messages. We do read them all, and we do post them all on our net fridge, which has got wireless broadband capabilities.
Upgraded from the e-fridge.
Yeah, to a net fridge, you know. Yeah. I'm hoping soon we'll have a web fridge, you know, full of cold spiders.
Yeah. We've got a trial subscription to Netfridge.
Netfridge! But the problem is with Netfridge, though, is that everyone's
taking food away?
Yeah, and I'm annoyed, because it's like, hang on now, I said I was going to eat that pizza, now it's gone. My friend recommended it. Yep. But the way it is just I'll give you my password for my Netfridge, so you can just use that as well. You don't have to pay for your own Netfridge. Only a sucker would do that. Just on a completely unrelated note, have you noticed how few movies that we've done have actually been on Netflix?
Well, I mean, Netflix is one of those things like Carphone Warehouse, where it's not really about movies anymore. It's about telly, isn't it?
I guess it is. Just like the Carphone Warehouse is not about cars or phones. It's about telly as well. Exactly. You know, telly on your phone, mate. That's what's Telephone Warehouse. That's what it should be called. But
no, I've got to the point where we don't even look now.
At the start, we're kind of like, will it be on Netflix?
It might be on Netflix.
The Netflix just looking at you with a blank red face. No, it won't.
No.
Don't even bother loading this up. It's odd that all these so-called classics can't be found there.
We have to get them from the DVD shop that we always go to.
Yes, the DVD shop from down the road where we buy all of our physical media. Ben Davis writes, given that Kevin is becoming a cross-podcast star,
wow,
he has been gathering listeners in the form of the Glad Gay community on the A podcast and the How To universe on How To Wrestling. But have either of you ever thought of a collective name for the listeners of Cinema Swirl?
Is it the How To universe, not the How To universe?
I mean, it's interchangeable, if I'm honest. You know, I've not settled yet. Yeah. Give it a few more episodes.
I don't want to butt in and start making marketing decisions over there, but How To universe.
I mean, well, I think the issue at hand is, have we called them swirlers, or did I imagine that?
Swirlers, swirlies.
Swirlomaniacs.
I often say swirl fans, but that seems a bit too easy.
Swirl folk.
Yeah.
I like swirl folk.
Swirl folk.
Yeah. We are the swirl folk.
Tell you what, send us some in. What do you want to be called?
North American red swirl instead of a squirrel. Yeah, you know, I'm just saying.
That's good.
Flying swirls. Yeah, I'm just thinking rodents now. You know,
cinnamon swirl.
Cinnamons, the Cinnabon gang. I don't know. I mean, how about this is a bit out there, but the Cinema Swirl fan base. And I would love a t-shirt that just said the Cinema Swirl fan base.
In just like Arial or something.
and fan bases underlined to emphasize the importance of it. Like, you know, Cinema Swirl maybe in italics.
We could get a few of those done cheaply. I think that would be a fun giveaway.
I mean, I guess, is it a good sign that we kind of haven't thought about this, or is it a bad sign that it's not come up until a listener has forced us to
think we think of our listeners as individual human beings with their own personalities and thoughts and stuff, so it seems almost demeaning to give them what... But
no, you're onto something there. Individual human beings with their own personalities. I like that. That's a good name for the
get that on a t-shirt.
Yo, members of the individuals with personalities who are special in their own right. What do you think about Ghostbusters? Let us know.
We've not got an established one, have we?
No. Please. You know what? I think that could be a new segment next episode. Help name the fandom. Because as it stands, the best ones we've got won't fit on a t-shirt.
No.
You know, unless you're like quite a large fan, you know. And then we're going to start skewing things in all sorts of ways to accommodate for that. Question here from Chris Palmer, who messaged us on the 3rd of October. There was a lot of action on the 3rd of October.
Okay.
Because of Mean Girls.
Oh, yes.
Yes. The actual date.
On October the 3rd. Yes.
It is October the 3rd. Yeah.
What day is it? It's October 3rd.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
We should have released that episode then.
Yeah, I know. We really could have sat on that one for a while, I guess. Chris is asking, are there any movie catchphrases or memorable quotes that you guys use in your day-to-day lives? Thanks and keep up the good work on the show. That's what I'm more interested in you in that. Is there anything which you've been saying that you may have picked up from the movies? I know you had some Lebowski-isms floating around.
Stop trying to make X a thing.
Yes.
It's become a one that I start using a lot now.
Yeah.
I want to find ways to use we came, we saw, we kicked his ass like that, but I can't think of any.
I don't know if we,
okay.
in our day-to-day lives, I don't know if we actually kick enough ass for that to happen.
Go anywhere, see anything, or kick anything's ass.
I mean, we kick a movie's ass.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's warranting of saying that.
No, Mean Girls is a goldmine of little phrases and things. Like,
very,
I don't think of Fetch at the moment, but I'm sure there's.
The other one
doesn't even go here.
I love Doesn't Even Go Here. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
One which I use in day-to-day life a lot is Darth Vader's apology accepted, Admiral, even if they're not an admiral, because I'm a nice guy.
There's probably plenty that Kevin uses, as used probably for years, that I've never picked up on, because they'll be from movies that I've not seen.
I was worried, that by doing this podcast, you think I'm a lot less funny.
Wait a minute.
Hang on. Kevin didn't invent the Force. That was established long ago by George Lucas. Yeah. We got another, this is like an ongoing thing, which I always love hearing tales about from Robert Porter here, which is food in cinemas, which seems to be an ongoing discussion here in Cinema Swirl. An amazing one, which is all the way back in 2003, when he went to see Holes starring Shia LaBeouf. Holes. Yeah, based on the book, which Shia LaBeouf was in it. But he was young then, obviously. And obviously a lot less interesting, you know. He had two of his Chinese friends, Hao Han and Wei Feng, took out cold shepherd's pie and cutlery. Amazing. I'll tell you. It is most definitely, I think, a cultural thing, because I was in China briefly for a few months doing things with bears, moon bears, and someone told me, I was like, I think I might go see Captain America in Chinese for a laugh. And they're like, no, don't go to the cinema in China, Kevin, because they don't get the cinema here, as in they don't know how to act. So when you go to the cinema in China, apparently it was a thing that people talked, they ate, feet on the seats, chewing gums, smoking, spitting on the floor, taking your shirt off, scratching your armpits. So I'm not sure if it's just a cultural thing of non-politeness.
Possibly, I don't know.
But brazen is a word I would use to describe that.
Just cold shepherd's pie in general is a funny concept.
If I saw you eating cold shepherd's pie right now, I would start laughing. If you did that in a cinema, I just would be like, sorry, I give up.
Taking a bit of cling film off the top and dig it in.
Yeah, cold shepherd's pie. That's a lonely dad dinner right there,
I did not see that coming, so that's tickled me to no end. Thank you.
Right, so back to the task at hand.
Yes.
Back to the Future 2.
Yeah.
What do you know about this movie? Because there's a number of things. Obviously, you know that it's involved with the future.
Yeah.
So any clues as to some maybe back they go to the future. There's a couple of major, almost bigger than Back to the Future 1, but there's major iconic stuff in this.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've been listening to the news recently, but a lot of this stuff has just happened to find its way onto news again. Do you know about any of the kind of products or things that are in this movie that people are obsessed with?
There's a Pepsi thing in it.
There is a Pepsi thing.
Pepsi thing, because people have been pointing me to Pepsi doing a little advert for the Pepsi thing and releasing a limited edition bottle.
That's true, that is happening.
Sam will love this.
Yeah.
Ties in with that film he hates.
Because that's what Sam needs, a movie he dislikes with something he loves.
Yeah. Don't tar Pepsi with the Back to the Future brush, that's what I'd say. So the Pepsi thing, hoverboards.
You know about hoverboards?
Oh, of course I know about. I've seen Tony Bloody Hawk riding a hoverboard in some kind of promotional stunt.
Is there hoverboards in Skate 2? I'm just wondering.
No, that's more of a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater unlockable type gimmick.
Yeah.
Skate 2, in fact the whole Skate series, a bit more authentic.
No gimmicks.
A bit more true to the skateboarding experience.
No kind of like skate grinding down like a telephone wire.
You're not unlocking any aliens on the Skate series, mate.
You know, Boba Fett tries to start skating in Skate 2, and the owner of Skate 2 is like, take that off.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, you're protected, but you look ridiculous.
Yeah.
You've no place skating here today.
Get those knee pads on.
So, do you know the whole thing then about people thinking that they were real, and there's a whole business about them, about hoverboards?
No. Back to the Future 1 that we watched, they don't go to the future.
No. They only go to the future relative from when they're in the past.
That they travelled to.
Yeah.
So they go back.
Return to the Present was a better name for.
I think we
doesn't roll off the tongue quite well.
I'm sure this new film where the future is mentioned could be conceivably called Back to the Future. Although right now, on the October the 21st, 2015, it's Back to the Present again. Return to the present. Return to our present, their future from their present, which is our past. But no, I know about the hoverboards because I kind of know what they look like.
Okay. Do you know if they're a real life thing then, or?
Well, I'm sure you can get toy ones
that you can actually hover around on.
No. There was a whole thing fairly recently, a couple of years ago or a year ago or something, where there was like a video that made it look like they were real.
Yeah.
And also, I think there are sort of real ones now, maybe that use magnets. And
you're right. Yeah, there are
skate park.
Yeah, there's one. I think how it works is it's got like a superconductor plate on it, and it's really warm, but it cools it with liquid nitrogen. Right. So it does hover, but it has this kind of mystical mist that follows it around.
Yeah.
But you were right. There were videos, like spoof videos.
Yeah.
Where it was made to look like there were hoverboards.
There's ones that look believable, and there's ones that are actually real.
Yeah.
That look unbelievable.
All we know is that hoverboards are banned now in the UK. That was all in the news this week.
What?
It's always very time sensitive. This
hoverboards are banned.
Yeah, because there are like these like prototype ones which are being used and coming out and whatnot. And this big thing all over the news. I'm talking about like the broadsheets. Are saying like, oh, hoverboards are banned. It's like, why are you just fucking advertising Back to the Future 2? That's all you're doing. Like, it's not a thing.
No, but hoverboards can't be coming out that work on anything.
I think there are some on their way, is what we're led to believe.
Just on the pavement, you can hover.
You're not allowed to hover on the pavement, though. That's just that.
Right.
Belt and braces.
Private land.
Get
some private land.
I'm just saying, if David Cameron sees you on your hoverboard, there'll be words.
Right.
You'll
hover away.
You'll be out on your backside. He can't hover. He floats, though. I mean, he's evil, I guess. So he hovers in his own right. So yeah, hoverboards, definitely a thing. I think it was just funny because hoverboards were, for many years, it was like a running joke. They made out on the DVD commentary of this that hoverboards were a thing that were available, but they just didn't release them because it would cause a panic or parents would be concerned. And people bought that hook, line, and fucking wink.
Yeah.
And of course, there were no hoverboards at the time. So a lot of disappointed children watching this growing up, expecting their hoverboards to come out.
Yeah, hoverboards seems to be one of those things that people get very annoyed about, that was promised to them in the future. Where's my hoverboard? Where's my bloody jetpack?
Where's me boards? I was promised that and a tax cut, and I got neither, And yeah, you see, I remember, because I mean, there's multiple places like universities and stuff like that, which are doing like hoverboard prototypes, and there were Kickstarters, Indiegogos. It's a real testament to people like feeling almost entitled that they were promised something in their childhood vis-a-vis a fictional movie.
Well, they've only got a few days to get it right. I mean, they've only got right now to get it right.
I'm just saying, if I don't have a hoverboard by the end of today, I'm going to send Robert Zemeckis an angry letter. And I'll be, you made promises to me, sir, and to my cohort Sam Chaplin as well. And we have not had those delivered.
Doesn't it kind of feel like science has had this homework for ages and has just left it a little bit to the last minute and is rushing to get it out?
I was too busy.
That's in October 2015. I don't have to do that yet.
Oi, boffins! Lay off the stem cells and get us our bloody hoverboards. Alright, that's what we want. Any other ideas about their depiction of the future? Do you think it's accurate? Are there things which you think may have gotten right, gotten wrong?
Well, I think it will be funny given that we're literally at the time that they travel to compare and contrast. Obviously, there'll be things wrong. I mean, the hoverboards, from what I remember it looking like, looks very 1980s.
Yeah, it is an 80s version of what the future, what they thought it would look like.
So I'm curious about that.
They weren't trying to make it accurate. They were by their own admission.
No,
they did some kind of like research or some ideas into what might happen, but a lot of stuff like there's flying cars, for instance.
But it's goofy, the future!
Yeah. They were like, we know there's not going to be flying cars, but, God damn it, there's going to be flying cars in this movie. It'll make for a nice shot.
We'll all be dead by 2015, probably.
It doesn't matter. No one's going to call us out to task. Like, I'll be dead by then. So, we've got the kind of maybe vision of the future to look forward to.
Yeah. I've had Cowboy mentioned to me a couple of times.
That's Back to the Future 3.
Right, okay. Cool.
Where they go to the set of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and try and move it along a little bit. Like,
So, there's a Cowboy one.
Yeah.
So the Back to the Future 1, they go to the past.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the Future 2, they go to the future.
Yeah.
Back to the Future 3, they presumably go back to cowboy times.
Yes.
Now, for a franchise...
I'm not going to lie to you as well, Sam. They don't just go to the future in Back to the Future 2. They go other places as well. So keep that in mind.
Back.
Yeah. They do go back to the past a little bit and then also return.
I left the oven on. Let me just...
Back and forwards and backwards and forwards. Yeah. I will just say, I did say in the Back to the Future episode that I think Back to the Future 2 is I prefer it. I think it's a much cleverer movie.
Yeah.
And also there's all this hype surrounding it at the moment. But even with that, I know you didn't enjoy the first one. No. And so are you feeling any pressure to enjoy this one now? Or are you going to give it a chance? Are you open to this entertaining you?
I've always remembered you saying on that episode that the second one is better. And me feeling like, okay, well then we should do that one. And hopefully I'll like that more. With these films, I usually do want to like them.
Oh yeah, no. Sam is like, with this podcast, I'll be honest, you give things a chance so much more than you would in normal life.
Yeah.
And that is, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I think you are aware of those weighty expectations and whatnot. And you can't help but, when you're watching these movies, go, well, everyone says it's amazing, so, give it a chance.
And for the most part, people have been correct. But there's a few where I'm just like, I'm not into this. And that was one of them. So, if this is better, then hopefully I will enjoy it. And it's just, I'm honestly curious for the whole they go to 2015 thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of
a fun thing.
That's why that's some of the main kind of selling points of it. But honestly, I think the greatest strength of the movie lies elsewhere.
Okay.
So, one or two things you may want to watch out for in this one is certain cast members return.
I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of Crispin Glover, can I just say right now before we get into this.
Are you aware of this then?
I think you told me when we were doing the first one that he's just in number one and then he gets replaced.
Let's just say there was a lawsuit that came out of this. Oh. See if you can figure out why Crispin Glover felt he had the right to sue them.
Oh, okay.
And he did, and he did sue them, and there was a change in Screen Actor Guild laws as a result of this, of Back to the Future 2. Also, as well, we have a cast replacement of Marty's girlfriend as well. She gets replaced.
Okay.
She wasn't available to record it at the time. So, but again, I mean, I'm really interested to see what you think about this. I don't want to say too much more without giving it away.
Okay.
But it will make you want to rewatch the first movie in some respects, maybe.
Oh, so do they go back to that timeline? Oh, okay, that would be cool. Because at the end of the first one, Doc Brown comes in.
Yeah.
And says,
Marty, we got to make a sequel.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think about them revisiting the events of the first film.
Back to the first movie.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Are you looking forward to seeing Doc Brown again?
Yeah.
Zany Doc Brown.
Yeah, he was cool.
Antics.
Yeah.
Antics abound.
Yeah.
Well, without further ado, let's get in our DeLorean and go do a cinema swirl. Meat pie, sausage roll. Come on, England, give us a goal. Meat pie, sausage roll. I'm not going to lie, we struggled to come up with a footy chant that would fit in with Back to the Future. I feel that we're obligated, that we have to do it now. Nothing rhymed with mates because I wanted to say, don't need footy, don't need blank. Don't need to be a celeb to be my mate. You know, because with Pepsi, you don't need to hang out with celebs, you just need your mates. Yeah. Back to the Future 2.
Yeah.
Great Scott.
Yes.
Gut reaction initially coming out of
Feel
this.
better about this one.
I have to say, there was a lot more laughs.
A lot of laughs.
A lot more laughs, a lot more oohs and ahs.
Yeah, not necessarily like
Laughs at the
you weren't
of the film.
Were you laughing at the movie or with the movie?
I'm not sure anymore. I think some of it was at, some of it was with. Some of the things that I thought I was laughing at, I was probably laughing with because they were in on it as well.
It is. This may dry ire from people, but I will definitely say this, having watching Back to the Future now with cold adult eyes, they are silly movies.
It's a stupid movie.
An actual quote from Sam Chaplin in this was actually, "This movie, it's fucking daft."
It is fucking daft. It's a daft movie.
When you're dealing with a complicated subject like time travel, I don't think you want to necessarily have your movie be labelled as fucking daft. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing or a mean-spirited thing. This wasn't an arms folded, oh, this is stupid. It was...
I had fun.
You had fun? Would you say you felt you had more fun watching this than the first?
I think so. I can't really remember, but I remember being a bit more rather than the last one.
I remember because the first Back to the Future was... I think it was the first time you remembered, or first time you realised that maybe your sight shouldn't be so incredibly high. Because there was a noticeable, and then like the music played and it was like,
yeah.
Whereas this time, I think, I don't know,
my expectations were lower.
Yeah.
And they were met and exceeded, I think, was what happened.
See, folks, if you've got low expectations, you're always going to be delighted as a result of that.
I went in knowing it was going to be a bit fucking daft.
Yeah.
And it was.
It was something as well, though, which Back to the Future 2 I prefer to Back to the Future 1. But goodness gracious, it's good to have a working knowledge of Back to the Future 1 to really appreciate what's going on in this movie. I mean, I always remember watching this the first time and going, well, fuck it, now I have to watch Back to the Future 1 again, because it was like 2 years in between. Is that something which is registered with you from this, or...?
Yeah, I want to watch bits of it again, just to kind of
see how it
work
syncs
out
up, And of course, I mean, we start with this movie exactly where the last one ended.
Yeah, but with different actors in one of the roles.
It's freaky, like, how, like, shot for shot perfect it is.
Yeah.
Except for one or two very noticeable exceptions. I mean, it is exactly the same as Back to the Future, except there's a new woman there instead of his old girlfriends. But other than that, it's like exactly like kind of...
that's what I remember.
Yeah, it was well done. So Doc, of course, who has come letting us know that there's a problem with Marty's kids in the future and that they have to go to the future where they don't need roads, as a side note.
Yeah.
Something I started doing immediately was kind of going, oh, well, that's not happened in 2015. Mr. Fusion is a bit of a sticking point with me. Sadly, here we are, like a bunch of fucking jamokes and jabronis here in 2015 with no end to the energy crisis in sight. So it's a couple of interesting things happen here, which is, first of all, you see Biff loser Biff, whose job it is to shine up people's cars, seeing a flying car, and he's like, hang on a minute. Now, I've seen some of them fancy new Chevrolets, but none of them,
like this.
Nothing like this. That's like some kind of flying car. And then we have our lengthy, like, kind of... it's something I hate with old Hollywood movies is having the fucking long-ass credits at the start.
I put that the clouds bit fucking drags on.
And on and on. And it's just clouds.
Yeah.
It's like...
It's a screensaver.
It's a screensaver. It is. It's basically like, here's some of our favourite images of overcast fucking... You know, we live in Lincolnshire, folks. Yeah. We see this all the fucking time. I don't want to start it over. Hey, it's a big movie. Lots of slightly off-white clouds. Are you excited?
In Back to the Future 3, there's just loads of colourful pipes going around the street.
Flying toasters in Back to the Future 4. It's a madhouse, Marty. I was kind of hoping that, like, when those little carrot cars from Empire Strikes Back would show up and be like, you know, you're not allowed to park here, but sadly
just
not.
Some clouds.
Just some clouds. All the stock footage that Steven Spielberg could pass on to them of clouds, all here in big force. They arrive in Cloud City, aka 2015.
It looks like an F-Zero game at the start.
It does, yeah.
Jump into this thing and then they're in the sky racing around, and it's
all fast. It's the future, and I feel incredibly bad for Jennifer in this movie because you only realize after she's in the car that she doesn't even know that it's a fucking time machine. We've had a year to kind of digest the events of Back to the Future. This is meant to take place literally moments after the last one, and Jennifer's like, time travel? Oh, my medication. I'm just saying, don't put someone in a time travel machine without reading them the risks first.
Yeah, that happens, which is kind of unfair. And then, if you were put in a time machine, right, you know what you'd start doing? Asking a few questions. Kind
of trying to suss my surroundings. Yeah. I remember my army training, and they said to me in army, they said, always ask if you're in a time machine, what's going on? Okay? They had it in bold letters and red and underlined so we wouldn't forget. Always ask what's going on.
Not allowed to do that in Doc's time machine. Not allowed to ask questions lest you get knocked out with a weird knocky out device.
Right. You're like literally 5 minutes into the movie. Okay? Like the only female character's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Like, oh, is it going to be cool that she's going to be part of the time travel gang? Nope. Erase her memory.
It'll all be a dream for her. She's now not talking. Women, eh? What are they like?
To what Doc Brown turns around and basically he says this exact quote, she's not important to our plans, Marty.
Yeah.
There's no point developing her character, Marty.
Just leave her asleep.
No one wants to go to the cinema and see what a woman would do. They want to see a grown-ass man pretend to be a teenager. And I will say, though, at this point, there was a collective sigh of relief from the individual listeners with personalities from the Cinema Swirl universe, when we all realised that, yes, it definitely was October 21st.
Yes.
Because at the start of the movie, it went October 26th, and we're like, am I going to fucking dub over every fucking time we... First cannot be overdubbed with sixth easily.
I'd love if we had to do a little session where we just sit here and go, October 26th.
October
26th.
No, with more anger in your voice. October 20th. So thankfully, they go forward a few years and back a few days. So
to either 2015 or 2015. They say different ones, which I quite like, because that's kind of what happened with the 2000s.
Where do you stand with it? I mean, I'm straight up 2015.
I'm 20, yeah. I was 2000 and whatever during the 2000s, which is not what Jeremy Paxman does. He says things like 2009.
2009, yeah.
And I don't like that, even though I know that will eventually be the proper one.
I'm kind of looking forward till we get to the 2020 so we can say dickety again, because assumedly the Kaiser will take our word for 20 again, like 20 dickety 6. Watch out, we're coming for you, like. So they land in the future, and it is 2015 or 2015. 2015.
Yeah.
And a few days, and straight away I was just making a mental list of, well, that's actually quite accurate, and oh, that's not accurate at all.
They got rain in 2015.
It's quite like 2015 here, because it was raining an awful lot today. I found accurate weather, not a thing which we have in 2015.
No. I wish the post office was as
if anything, the
efficient.
post office has gotten more efficient and weather has gotten less accurate. I mean, I'm just saying, anyone here who's living in England who's listening in, have you noticed that every year for the past 3 years, the Daily Mail or some equivalent has guaranteed us we're having the coldest and longest winter for 50 years?
Hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened.
No.
I'm starting to think winter is just some old wives' tale I read about in a Ladybird
Our
book.
parents used to tell us about winter to scare.
Yeah, it tells about, ooh, and all that frosty stuff from the freezer would fall down. You had to make men out of it to stay entertained, you know? Don't believe it, not for a second. Some things, though, which are accurate. There's cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Cameron. There's also a lot more plastic surgery. Thanks a lot, Cameron.
Yep.
You know? Self-tying shoes.
Yeah, well, this starts off the whole product placement thing being everywhere.
A lot.
Oh, there's Nikes! Yeah, and they
Buy Nike! Buy it! Buy it now! Buy the products that we have now and buy the hypothetical products we'll have in the future. Tell your children to buy what we might make.
Yeah, I think there's a certain amount of self-fulfilling stuff going on here because there are like retro Nikes that look like that.
Oh,
that
they've
about
done
now. They've probably done it. Yeah,
they have done ones which were kind of in the style of that, and I do remember. Last I heard, they guaranteed that the self-tying shoelaces were going to be out in 2015.
Right.
But again, you've had Kickstarters and university people and like fucking, I don't know, just every white middle-aged man in the fucking universe has to like make stuff from Back to the Future 2 tangible, otherwise he won't be able to die happy, you know? So yeah, self-tying shoes is something which we can look forward to. Kind of wish we'd spend a little bit more time getting the accurate weather and the Mr. Fusion. No, please give us the shoes from Nike.
Get the product placement stuff.
Yeah, please. Let's have some shoes and some Nintendo products and whatnot. Doc helps Marty dress like a scenester doofus.
Yeah. Very silly 2015.
Very silly 2015. I like the self-fitting jacket.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, right now, my pants are a bit ridiculous because I've lost a little weight and I don't want to buy a belt. So I feel that technology owes me one.
If you could just press a button and they tighten up a bit.
And it should say, good job, Kevin. You didn't eat as many beige things this month.
Yeah.
Now your trousers don't fit.
Congratulatory trousers.
Congratulations. They're going to fall down. You're going to look silly, you know? Whereas this, it just seems like it's a natural fit, you know? Reflective cap. I mean, part of me's kind of going, oh, that's what the kids these days wear, don't they? With their silly hats and their...
Kind of.
And they wear their pockets inside out. And it's all very silly to us adults how the children dress these days. So we're finding out the reason he's come back is that Marty Jr., who's Marty's future son, who looks exactly
like Marty.
In every single way.
Nothing like Jennifer.
No.
Doesn't matter.
You know, because basically...
Her DNA doesn't matter either.
Are you looking forward to having a son that is a clone of you?
They do a little bit to make him look slightly different.
He looks like an unwashed version.
Yeah.
He looks like Marty McFly with rickets. That's what this kid looks like. I mean, I'm kind of glad this whole kind of 50-50 DNA business with the parents, because if I have a kid, it means that kind of like, if they're mad disappointing, I can kind of picture the mother instead.
Yeah.
You know, kind of go, it's probably their fault. Whereas if it's an exact fucking clone of me,
it's like staring in a sad mirror.
Jesus, yeah. It's like an active disappointment. I don't want that, you know? I don't want to reflect like that. So Marty Jr. is apparently going to get arrested for being with a gang. So it's up to Marty Sr. to stop this from happening. Do you get the feeling that Marty himself didn't need to come to the future to do this task?
Yeah, I suppose Doc could have done it, but he's a bit old and tired, isn't he?
And here's the thing as well, could they not have waited a day? Because, I mean, they just had all the adventures of the first movie. He's just seen his family all super successful.
Yeah, that is a point. There's no rush, really, is there?
I need to fucking lie down after that.
Doc could have given him a week.
At least an afternoon.
They'd still be in that house. He's not going to lose him.
No, you know what? It's funny. The man with the time machine who's always in a rush. Isn't it? Oh, there you are with your iPhone looking all organised, but I think you're actually more stressed and less organised as a result. How about that? Huh? Little truth there for you.
Yeah, these characters must be tired.
I mean, I know he's young, all right, but I mean, it's pretty obvious that Michael J. Fox is not a teenager.
Yeah.
And he looks like older in this movie as well because it's 2 years later. It's just like, give him a fucking rest.
Yeah.
You know? They didn't need to do all the special makeup for him in the future. He just looks tired.
Yeah.
We get a big shot of future Hill Valley, which is probably one of my favourite like shots in the movie, where you just get to see... It's quite similar to the 50s is kind of, wow, everything is different.
Yeah, but in a future way.
I think it's amazing.
It does look cool, yeah.
There's so much stuff in the background.
Marty steps out into it going, the future. Right? First rule of Future Club, stop calling it the future when you're in it.
Yeah, it's true.
You get spotted immediately. It's great being here in the future. What?
I mean, if you saw someone walking down the street go, wow, it's great to be here in the future.
Yeah.
I'd
at least cross the street.
I'd be like, whoa, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Is there some sort of time division of the police force so we can get on this? Because I'm worried here, Jaws 19.
Yeah.
Sadly, we didn't get Jaws 4 through 19, but a nice prediction of the future.
Yeah, I like the 3D shark coming out, because I was like, nearly? That's nearly what sort of happens in the cinema now. You see 3D stuff, don't you?
Well, yeah, you have to pay fucking 20 quid for the pleasure of it.
You have to put on some silly glasses, but you still see a shark come out at you.
You know what? I'm just going to say it now, because I've never had a chance to say it on this podcast, because it is about cinema, isn't it? It is in the title.
Yep.
Fucking hate 3D movies.
Whoa.
Absolutely hate them.
Oh, I've gone off them.
I mean, I was never on them.
No?
I remember seeing a 3D movie once, and it was up. I went in, I sat down, the glasses didn't fit over my glasses. I took them off, I got a headache, I put them back on, and it got worse.
Oh, it's difficult for glasses wearers.
It's not fair.
No.
I shouldn't have to change my look just to watch your stupid movie, Hollywood. I shouldn't have to wear contact lenses.
Is the 3D trend kind of going down now?
Well, apparently box office-wise, yes, because all the non-3D counterparts of the blockbusters made more money.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I've not watched one in a good year and a bit.
I mean, I'd like to think that if we went into the future now, it would be 3D. Yeah, what a silly thing, a relic of the past.
It was kind of nice to see that's a projection for the future, and it did kind of happen.
It did. And what also did happen as well was that Hollywood became over-reliant on sequels.
Yeah.
But what they didn't predict was that they would just reboot everything instead of giving them extra numbers, so it would throw us off the chase.
So it wouldn't look too silly that you've got...
It's hang on a minute, 7 Nightmare on Elm Street movies? What, they've rebooted? I've forgotten that there were so many. Is this the first one or the 9th one? I don't know anymore. Cafe 80s.
Yes, that's quite accurate.
Yeah.
Because there are fucking nostalgia places, and to say in the 80s, to talk about 80s nostalgia places, that to me seems like such a commonplace, obvious thing. But in the 80s, they won't have known that that's going to happen. They will have kind of known, because there'll be 60s ones.
I mean, it was always a thing. I mean, it still is a thing, 50s nostalgia diners.
Go back 20 years, and that's when your nostalgia starts.
But there's still 50s nostalgia diners in the UK. Are there 80s nostalgia diners?
Oh, there's flares and things there's nightclubs where it's all 80s.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, we did have something here, and we might as well just do a quick little impromptu edition of Pepsi Swirl in here now.
Sure, yeah.
Pepsi Perfect.
Yes.
I like the idea that they thought that in the future Pepsi would just kind of reach this hypothetical asymptote of purity, and it's perfection in a bottle.
Where'd you go from Pepsi Max?
Pepsi Perfect.
Pepsi Perfect.
They are releasing this now, aren't they?
I know, I've seen they've got special bottles.
We have got to get a bottle of it and taste it.
I am willing to use my limited Cinema Swirl clout to try and bully people into sending me a bottle of that if they get one, because I know there's limited edition bottles.
Yeah, I don't know if they're coming out in the UK, if it's a US thing.
Desperately want one.
Seriously.
Willing to pay postage.
If there's one person who in this world who deserves it, well, I mean, there's probably a lot more people who deserve it more than you. But if there's one person sitting in this room at the moment,
one person from the podcast,
if there's one English person, if there's one chaplain who deserves it, assuming that none of your family are interested, I mean, they're not. Okay, well then Sam obviously deserves it. I mean, come on, he's the number one choice. I think Pepsi Perfection is quite a funny little goof, isn't it?
I like it.
We had Invisible Pepsi, I guess, and Pepsi Max, and it feels like sometimes they've given up on Pepsi in terms of new and creative.
Just the hubris of that product. I mean, Pepsi Perfect. We've done now. We've done. That's the best one.
Pepsi Infinity, maybe Pepsi Perfect. What's that? Coke? Oh! Yeah, I said it. Yeah. But in all seriousness, no. Buy Pepsi products.
Yeah.
Do what the movie tells you.
It's everywhere.
Buy it. All right. Wear your Nike trainers. Go down the store. Buy Pepsi.
You know what, Kevin? Pepsi did change their logo.
It's true.
It is different now.
It is.
Yeah.
Like the future.
The future. We're in it. We're in the future.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah. I think the thing that made me groan the most out of this movie was in the future seeing the antique shop where there's all of the stuff from the 80s.
There's places like that, though.
I know, but...
Because there's a place in Nottingham you and I have been to that it's all just like stuff from the 70s.
Yeah.
And it's quite like that. So maybe 10 years
But just
off,
to kind of knock the whole thing home and be like, they are in the future and the past was the past. Look, there's, in the antique shop is all the stuff from their present.
You idiot. VHS can never be an antique. It's going to live forever.
Look at these dustbusters.
They did love their dustbusters in the 1980s.
Loved them.
We get introduced to Biff, who is now an old man Grand Pepper. He's got stereotypical old man Grand Pepper pants.
Yep.
And he's got a cybernetically enhanced grandson, who is basically like if you got Brock Lesnar, made his voice squeaky, and gave him a hat.
Yes.
I'm a bit scared by Griff.
Griff?
Is there a rule that the Tamlins have to rhyme their names?
Biff. Griff. There aren't any others, are there?
Stiff. Whiff. Smelly Uncle Whiff to Tamlin, like. But yeah, Griff is part of this like gang, and the gang are basically intimidating poor Marty Jr. into like taking part in some sort of like criminal undoings with them. And that's why Marty has to come and save him. But quick note there as well, guys, just while you're wondering while that's going on, in the background, it's only a bloody classic Nintendo arcade cabinet. I want to take a moment right now just to remind you that nothing goes better with a nice cold glass of Pepsi from whatever time you're in than a quality Nintendo product. Sam, I've been playing some Nintendo recently and I've just been having an absolute time. I've been having a time with it. It's great. Nintendo really is just quality stuff, and you should buy it. Buy it now. Please buy it. Do what the movie says. But there's so much in such a short time. So much. It's so much product placement. I don't think I've ever seen. There's like this thing in my head that product placement is like a recent thing, and it's no. If anything, they've gotten better at it.
Everywhere in this film,
except for maybe in The Office when they're like have a whole episode about Nespresso. They're like, man, it really is a quality product, you know. But here, it's really on the nose. It's this weird kind of like trust building thing where people have got, if you got such strong nostalgic childhood memories. But I mean, you know, the hoverboard has got a giant Mattel logo on it as well, and it's kind of like, if you are making sure your childhood and the main associations of nostalgia are brands like Nike, Mattel, Nintendo, Pepsi,
even fucking AT&T get in on it.
Yeah, and it's kind of
Black
sad
and Decker.
Because if you're a fucking grown-ass adult and all your nostalgic memories are, God, remember all the multinational companies when I was growing up? Oh, they're still here. Awesome. That's great.
I don't think there were any embarrassing ones that don't exist anymore.
No, there's not. I mean, JVC maybe have lost a little of their luster.
Still there.
Not the pioneers of technology they're making them out to be. Sadly, the boombox took away a lot of JVC's luster there. Marty Jr. is a total dink.
Well, yeah, but he's getting beaten up by this gang, right, who are intimidating him.
He can't even make his auto-fitting jacket auto-fit itself.
No, he's got silly floppy
the
arms.
Buttons right there! That's literally like someone not dressing themselves in the current day.
But he gets called a complete wimp by Marty.
Marty.
I'm like, he's getting beaten up by a gang.
And I will say, I'm allowed to say, you know, he's a complete wimp because I'm a stranger watching the movie. And if you imagine now if you saw like your son and he was being bullied, like, what a little loser!
Yeah,
what a doofus!
Yeah, he's also called Marty, which is getting a bit kind of.
And all the while as well, his girlfriend is like knocked out in an alley. By the way, he's not a very empathetic sort. Is Marty McFly? Is it? He's kind of like in the pursuit of his greater good, everyone else gets thrown by the wayside. Yeah. So real Marty kind of does the old switcheroo and stands up for
the
his
old
younger
hustle,
self.
Swapping the suitcases.
Yeah, seriously, Marty was wearing a luminous
Put
jacket.
the cap on.
They never thought what was going to happen. You know, we get introduced to the whole thing here, which is Marty's short fuse if he gets called a chicken.
Yeah, his chicken fuse.
He's seriously triggered by being called a chicken.
He's consistently chicken triggered.
Do you think that is like if someone offers him chicken for dinner, he's going to be like, chicken?
Probably. The fantastic thing is that one of the lads in the gang has a little chicken noise app
on his
body.
I mean, I'll be the first one to say people are bloody glued to their iPhones these days, but they don't have them as their torsos. No. I don't think that's what Steve Jobs had in mind. He was more of a brushed steel handheld type of guy. They say that they've got like bionic implants.
Yeah.
Which it just seems to make them all like, are they on drugs?
They don't add much more to that. It's just, they've got machines in them somewhere, maybe.
You might as well just say, watch out, Marty, they're on amphetamines. They don't know what's what, Marty. They'll fuck you up. So we got a hoverboard chase.
Sorry, there's this whole fight going on in the Cafe 80s.
Yeah.
And because it's the future, there's no staff.
Yeah, it's all automated by facsimiles of 80s pop culture icons like Michael Jackson and former President Ronnie Reagan.
Like, how could shit not go horribly wrong all the time when there's no physical staff?
I think it's because recently, on my drive to work, I go past a lot of houses that have honesty boxes outside, which is like, take 6 eggs, leave £1.50. And honestly, I don't think there's ever been an issue there. So, if it works for rural farm shops in this current day, maybe that's kind of what they were going for here, you know? Yeah. People genuinely are good and can be totally trusted is the moral of this story. The hoverboard chase. I mean, obviously, this is, you knew about hoverboards probably.
I did.
It's been on and on.
Yeah.
And on and on and on. Yeah. And I was watching this going, there's no way this could live up to any sort of resemblance of the hype.
No.
Did it live up? I mean,
no. Really silly.
Some of the effects in the movie didn't hold up so well. It was Ghostbusters syndrome a little bit in this movie. Some dodgy looking shots. Not, it's the 80s. They looked fantastic for the time. You had some issues with the logic of the hoverboard, I believe.
Right, he was skateboarding on a hoverboard. He was hoverboarding on a hoverboard.
On a quality Mattel product, if I can just say.
Just pop out the handle and then you've got a board. I think that's quite useful. He was pushing with his foot on air.
Yeah.
No. I'm not having that.
I mean,
the ground is a little bit further down. That would have made sense. You've got some resistance and you can push.
Yeah.
But he was like, well, I'm hovering on air, so I guess I can push on air. No!
Doesn't work like that, Marty.
No!
It really doesn't. Maybe that's why the hoverboards took so long to come to fruition, that the basic design that was here was so faulty. Like, I don't get it. We just keep pushing on air. It's not moving. Why would Mr. Zemeski lie to us?
Oh, God.
All these scientists completely flabbergasted, and then someone's like, hey, what if we touch the ground? By God.
We've got it.
We've cracked it. Get me the president of Mattel.
Yeah. That got me cross.
What also got me cross as well is that when he goes over the water and they're like, it can't go in water, obviously.
Unless you've got power to push you.
But it still manages to stay hovering over the water.
Yeah.
And he's right at the edge there.
Tiny little gap.
And he's like, I really want to pee on my hoverboard.
Get off it.
Marty, you need to take a few risks.
He wouldn't even have to jump. He could just do a big long step.
Now, maybe because you and I are tall, we you could just put out your big, you could walk over that.
Well, then you can jump then.
You can give it a whirl at least.
Yeah.
And he does get wet, but
takes him ages.
Future has got self-drying jackets.
Yes.
Now,
video game type thing.
That is a brilliant.
You get out of the water and you're already dry.
Yeah, it's great. It's like you spend all this time in video games, so it's like, wow, when you go in the water, you can be wet and look realistically wet for 2 seconds before you just immediately evaporate. And I was very impressed with the self-drying jacket. And again, I have to ask, why is all the focus been on hoverboards when there is obvious tangible stuff that we need in our lives?
Yeah.
It is winter. Self-drying jackets, we need them.
Most of these ideas I can see being pitched on Dragon's Den.
It's a self-drying jacket.
But it's a really rubbish prototype that doesn't work.
He's showing the hoverboard. He goes, no, you've never got any resistance there. You can't just move it on air. I'm oot.
I think that's why all these products don't exist now, just because Duncan Bannatyne has said he's oot, and
he's
therefore no money has gone into it.
I mean, I could see Theo Batista's going in for the self-drying jacket, because he's a bit of he can kind of see the spectacular and the unspectacular, so to speak. But Bannatyne will be stone cold out for all this nickel and dime bullshit. Quite frankly, is all it is. Yep. We get a shot of Marty trying to get the almanac. The word almanac is a great word.
Yes.
Before I saw this movie, I thought almanac was a type of fancy French liqueur that my parents drank. Would you care for a snifter of almanac? Oh, go on, Almanac.
Wonderful. I've not heard almanac so many times in such a short space of time.
It sounds like an almondy type liquor.
Yeah.
Almanac.
You'd have it with a cake or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, that's a bit boozy, that tart. Well, actually,
bit of almanac
I'll put a bit of almanac in there. Look, it's fine now. It was cooked, so the alcohol evaporated off, so little Johnny can have a slice still, but don't tell your
Give him the almanac,
Give
Kate.
him the almanac. Yeah. Oh, get the almanac out. Oh, go on. Get it.
It is Christmas.
I mean, I don't want to, call him out here, but my dad, this just reminds me, my dad calls advocate avocado. And avocados, advocates. Like, it's been a recurring, confusion for him.
Not as a joke, just...
I'm wondering if he's called Cognac Almanac now or something, if I picked that up from somewhere else. But the idea of the almanac is that it is it's a collection of sporting statistics.
Yes, it's in the antique shop, even though it must be only 5 years old.
Oh, yeah, because it's up to 2000, isn't it? So it's 15 years old.
It's a plot device. So
the plot device doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, I've said 5 years, I mean 15 years.
15 years, yeah.
So I guess
that qualifies as an antique, surely.
Yeah, I guess it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was 2010.
I mean, once a child reaches the age of 15, I mean, that's when they're fully grown, you put them in a charity shop.
Yeah.
You're an once more, you'll be an antique, my son.
But the lady was explaining that, dust jackets don't exist anymore because we got rid of dust? Question mark?
I think there's some sort of explanation about, paper being, different now.
But I didn't think that would be significant. But it turns out the idea of the dust jacket is actually comes up later in the film.
There's no wasted lines in Back to the Future.
It's quite tight.
Yeah, everything that is said is either A, a reference to something that's happened or will happen, or B, a really, really necessary product placement for just a quality product, you know? And I mean, while I'm finishing through here with this, I think I might just go and enjoy just a quality Pepsi product, you know? Because that's just
I'll join you.
I mean, it's the choice of a new generation, Sam. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I enjoy Pepsi most with my mates.
But I mean, what are mates without Nintendo to play with, you know? Exactly. That's all I'm saying. Hey, those are nice Nikes. I just compliment you on those. They're good. It's very good. So it ends up that Marty tries to get a thing, you're going to make a fast buck. And he gets both barrels from Doc Brown. He does. He gives him both barrels. He guilt trips the fucking bejesus out of him.
Stern telling off, yeah.
Oh, you're not going to make money from time machines.
I didn't get into the time machine racket to make money.
I got into the time machine racket so I could upset children. Duh.
Travel in time.
So I could take teenage girls, put them in my time machine, knock them out, and not tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
Because they're not important. Yuck. So it ends up that lurking in the background, old man Biff just kind of appears.
Background Biff looms into frame.
He's so fucking sinister.
That made me laugh, do a big laugh.
Oh yeah.
When Biff came out from behind the door. Almanac. That sounds delicious. Recovering alcoholic Biff Tannen couldn't resist a snifter of almanac. Doc says "Great Scott" so much more in this movie than the first one. The first movie was a couple of times. People must have picked up on it and they thought, well, I'll give the fans what they like. Do the line, Doc. Great Scott.
Opens the door. Great Scott. Doc, we got to go back to the future. Great Scott. We got to go back. I mean, I would say one Great Scott could cover all of this, you know? You don't need to keep coming back to it so often.
Fan service.
Now, Jennifer ends up being found by the police.
Yeah.
Why was she lying out in the alleyway? Did they take her out of the car?
They took her out, put her down on some bins or something.
So they took the woman they knocked out and put her in a bin.
They put her on a bin.
On a bin.
On some bin bags, I think.
Okay.
Which, now I think about it, is quite symbolic. But, yeah, they just left her there. And Marty McFly at the time was like, we can't just leave her here. And Doc was like, it'll be 5 minutes, everything will be fine.
Shut up, Marty, of course we can. He's like, oh yeah. If you're going to take a lady out on a nice date, number one, don't take them to the future without their explicit consent. And number two, don't leave them on a load of old bloody bin bags.
Once they're in the future.
These
are future bin bags.
Yeah, maybe those are these kind of fancy bin bags. Yeah. I mean, I've not laid on any of these 2015 bin bags. Maybe we're missing out.
Mispronouncing bean bags.
So she gets found by some future police.
Yeah.
Who have got sweet future police boots and hats that say their names.
They think she's been tranked. She's a trank. She likes tranquilizer. That's why she's knocked out.
That's the obvious answer there. You know?
Yeah.
It's good to see the police force is as ignorant as ever in the future.
Well, she's not a, what is it, lollop or a zip head? I can't remember what the things were. Zip head was what?
That sounds like a racist word from the 40s.
Yeah. But they've obviously got these things that people take, these kind of fancy future drugs.
Yeah.
She's not on Zip or whatever the other one was.
Or Doodah.
She's on Trank.
Or heroin.
She's a tranker.
She could be on anything for all we know. So they take her back to her home.
She's on tranquilizer. Let's take her home.
Yeah, let's take her home.
Not to the station.
Let's not fill out any paperwork or report this. Yeah. They go home to her house to let her off. And at this point...
I've forgotten this bit.
Well, at this point, both of us kind of made the same point we wrote in our notes, which was, why are there still roads? He did explicitly say at the start of this movie...
Where we're going...
We don't need roads.
2015...
We don't need roads.
Fucking loads of roads.
There are roads everywhere.
Arguably, there's probably more than there were in the past.
Such an election promise, isn't it? And I pledge to you by 2015, we won't need roads. There will be no roads. And granted, yes, you're kind of true, there are hover cars, but there are still roads everywhere, okay? And we still don't have a 7-day NHS.
Do you think there's some hipsters driving normal cars? No, I like roads. I like how it feels, you know? I prefer the sound of roads.
I mean, if you're not driving on the road, you're not really driving.
Yeah.
Much in the way that if you read a book on a Kindle, you don't really read that book.
You do, though.
You
Same
do.
words.
Simply do. You simply do. So, it's the future. She's been dropped off at her future home.
Yeah.
Poor Jennifer, who's no idea
Very
what's going
confused.
along. And knock on the door. Who could it be? It's only not Crispin Glover and his wife. Now, it's interesting because in the future, Crispin Glover is upside down and also not Crispin Glover.
A lot's changed.
A lot's changed.
We were kind of debating whether, like, when he was in negotiations to star in this film, it's like, can you act upside down? It's like, no.
Now, that's a plot
That's a
point.
clincher.
That's a deal breaker. Here's how this happens. They offered him like fucking very low money, like really low money, like insultingly low.
Actually
apparently.
low, or he thought it was low?
Well, he was offered less money than all the other returning cast members.
Okay.
Which, considering he was a fairly big part of the
Yeah.
first movie, and had he been in this one, I could only imagine he would have been a lot more featured
part, yeah.
than man who was there to look and trick you into thinking it was Crispin Glover.
Yeah.
But yeah, he refused to take part then as a result, and they said that he was asking for too much money. Considering they said something really demeaning, which is like, given your notoriety or like your status, you can't ask for more money.
Right.
So they just went ahead and they put in this dude who looks
Yeah.
kind of like him, and they obscure his face.
You don't see him
and
often enough to realise that it's not Crispin.
the one time you see him head on, he's upside down. And I mean, by the
He's
time
old. He's got
I
old makeup
tried
on.
to go upside down and I just fell over.
Yeah.
So, you know, he sued them for using his likeness and image in a movie.
I'd argue rightly so.
Rightly so.
Because that's fucking him, but it's not, but it is.
I mean, alright, if you've seen Crispin Glover in any other movie, or kind of
Yeah.
just seen Crispin Glover in general, that whole kind of neurotic, that is Crispin. That is just Crispin Glover. It's no more George McFly Sr. than the Man in the Moon. It is Crispin Glover. And yeah, they just nicked his image, essentially.
Yeah.
So I think as a result of this, I don't know if he was successful in suing them or if there was a settlement, but as a result, the Screen Actors Guild had to change the rules, which is that if you use like someone's image or whatever, you have to have their consent and they have to be paid and da-da-da-da.
Okay.
But it's so shitty, like, that you would...
Is that kind of why when there's like cast replacements in some modern movies and stuff, it doesn't really look like the old one?
Yeah.
They're not trying to find somebody who looks like them. They're just finding someone else who can do it.
Yeah, they're not like trying to do like an express imitation.
Yeah.
Like, whereas
because
now
otherwise
it's
it'll get
kind of...
legally tricky.
Yeah, and I think, like, I mean, obviously they replaced Jennifer as well, but that's because the original actress, like, she had, like, her mother was really sick or something. So, like, that was kind of the reason she gave them their blessing. But Crispin Glover was like, no, that's not enough money. They're like, fine, we'll do it anyway. You
Yeah.
know? It's like when a corporation, I don't know, like, say, just an example, Nike asked Tom Waits if they can use one of his songs, and he says no, and then they record their own version of it, and he sues them for several $1 million and wins.
I won't have a bad word said about Nike.
Not on this podcast. Look, Sam, just do it, okay? Just do it.
Okay, so upside down Crispin.
Yeah.
Non-Crispin.
Upside down, not Crispin Glover.
The reason why he's upside down.
He threw out his back on the golf course.
So you put him upside down.
Yeah. Well, I think the theory is that he's upside down so he's not on his feet, so there's not weight on his back.
That's just... I laughed a lot at how silly that was.
It was
as a
quite
silly.
silly.
Yeah.
Very silly. And but yeah, they even have things like he does, the hair flick and all that kind of stuff. That scene was pretty on the nose, like we're trying to continue without you. Future McFly life, like all visited McFly lives, is completely shit.
Yeah.
And old Marty is even shitter. He's an old man, he's got 2 ties, his hand don't work no more, he can't play guitar.
Michael J. Fox's old man voice is like my old man voice. Hello, I'm Marty.
He's like, honey, I'm home, get your kids off my lawn. I mean, it's sad.
Yeah.
Is it like Doom that everyone has to be fucking miserable? I mean, should they not take a hint that the McFlys are not destined for good things? Stop fucking changing everything to make your lives better. It's shit. Accept it.
Yeah,
Stop
accept your fate.
Accept it and move on. Yeah. And all while this is going on, Marty is trying to get into the house, and Jennifer's trying to get out of the house. Biff just kind of appears, this old man.
He comes up in a taxi, doesn't he? He's obviously paid one of the crazy taxi drivers to drop him off.
That was a very crazy taxi.
Yeah.
Very crazy.
The guy looked properly goofy. Yeah.
Mad goofy.
And it flew away.
And then he just nicks the DeLorean and goes back in time. And they don't notice.
No.
That stealthy old man with a bad hip and apparently a congenital heart disease. What's that all about? He just slips away.
Yeah. And then presumably has a massive adventure in the past, and then quickly comes back.
And no bother.
You'd think he'd need to know how to use the machine, because even Doc struggles using it sometimes.
I'm just thinking of all the ball ache they had to get back to the future in the last one, and now it's just like,
Biff could just pick Old Man Biff.
Old Man Biff.
Crusty old Biff.
Well, if Crusty old Biff can use Apple's latest operating system, he surely knows how to use. Good one.
Oh, Pepsi, perfect.
Just a reminder as well, though, make sure you do use AT&T, because if you are going to use any sort of video now, in the past, or in the future, make sure it's AT&T. Now, sadly, Sam and I can't use AT&T because it's not a provider in our country, but we will just do everything we can to ensure that our American listeners know of the quality of service that they provide.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
In any timeline, okay?
Yeah.
You know, your phone line, any timeline. It works, you know? They have kind of picked out a few things here which have happened. There seems to be some sort of prototypical Google Glass, which is made by JVC.
Yeah, there's like funny, weird TV goggle things.
There's also Skype.
Yeah.
Which AT&T invented.
AT&T Skype.
There's also being able to watch 6 channels at once, which...
In fairness, the big tellies...
Yeah, the flat screen big telly.
Looked pretty convincing.
Food rehydration. I mean, I had cake in a mug the other night. Does that count?
No.
Not really there then. Black & Decker were kind of like...
I thought, right, they were just... When they put that little pizza in the weird oven thing, I thought that was like an Iceland party food type pizza where they'd only got one left.
And they were
splitting it between them.
Oh.
But it's whoop, big pizza.
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Think of all the space. I mean, because obviously Sam, known fact, loves his frozen pizzas. Space is an issue.
Yeah.
And you can only put so many in a freezer.
That'd be great.
You know?
Yeah.
They're all little like
those
that.
Those pizzas are like those little dinosaur toys that you put water on them and they go big dinosaurs.
Yeah, I bet they smell
fun. From that episode of The Simpsons that I remember.
I bet though if you had that pizza, funny smelling water would come out of it as well. You know? It's just Marty Sr. gets fired over Skype by his Asian boss who he's got a penchant for firing.
Yes.
He fires him hard. He fires him and it just appears on screen in front of him.
You're fired in big letters, yeah.
Alan sugars him good and proper, like.
Hilarious.
And he gives him a woof as well at the same time as all of his social media and fax and everything, like, all says you're fired.
They've got faxes in 2015. That's one of the few kind of really embarrassing things that they talk about, faxes.
It's like they didn't think it through. It's like, do you not think in a world where video conferencing is possible that fax may be a little redundant?
I guess they thought that it would become some kind of future fax, but everyone would still call it fax.
It's weird because they do this whole thing where it's like, oh, papers aren't important anymore, but yet they all have newspapers, fax. They literally, their puny 1985 brains weren't possibly capable of conceiving a world without precious paper.
How does Marty get fired? Because he's talking to needles.
Yeah. He gets fired because he's involved in some sort of like, he gets like roped into some scam or whatever.
Yeah. And immediately gets fired.
Because he's like, you're chicken. Oh, okay, then I'll show you. I'll get fired.
Yeah.
So yeah, sad, pathetic Marty. And you get this horrible stuff that Jennifer, the only thing that Jennifer gets to do in this movie now is like, 1, get knocked out, and then 2, see what a miserable wretch her boyfriend is going to become.
Yeah.
See how shit her wedding is going to be. And then also see herself old and then pass out.
And then get knocked out from that, yeah. She spends the whole movie unconscious, really.
God.
Yeah.
As harsh times to be alive in Hollywood. So Biff comes back from the future and dies. That was very dark.
Does he die?
Yeah, he's like having this big heart attack. Yeah. I think that's just for them to kind of say, oh, he won't try and go back to the past again.
Is that to be like, oh, he's been busy? So much that he's conked out his heart.
Yeah, he's had a bit of an adventure.
Yeah.
Time travel it gives you. I mean, pregnant women and old people shouldn't time travel, and also maybe dogs. I still don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, we're not alright with
dogs
that.
on that.
No.
Not cool at all. So they decide to head back to the past to try and sort all this stuff out and take Jen with them.
Doc says he doesn't have time to go back to the Old West, which he wanted to do.
Wink, wink.
Lol.
That came out of nowhere. It's just like, by the way, I love cowboys.
By the way, we're making these films at the same time.
By the way, this sequel is definitely coming out. So they go back to the past, but it is shit.
It's all bollocksed up.
They've screwed it up once again. Marty drops back Jen and then goes into his own home, which ends up in a very scary situation where he jumps into a young woman's bed.
Yeah.
And then our
angry dad freeze, sucker.
And he tries very, very slowly to hit him with a baseball bat. It got real dark, this movie, at points.
Yeah.
The reality of the situation was very much sinking in. And I do like this kind of real stark. It's not just kind of like, oh no, my dad's not going to get with my... It's like, oh shit, everything is fucked up. And that kind of was a nice...
Biff's okay, but everyone else is not okay.
Yeah, Biff is grand though, in case you're wondering. Biff is more than okay. He walks down Hill Valley and it's like, there's rubbish everywhere. There's loads of dogs running around.
Everyone's fucking shooting each other.
Chalk outlines of bodies. Bloody graffiti. Banksy. Banksy's at it again, you know. And there's no more school as well. He's like, the school burned down 6 years ago, and then there's a drive-by shooting.
The school died exactly 10 years ago today on this very spot.
The school was shot and murdered in cold blood. Hill Valley has become Hell Valley. Basically, to try and... Have you played Super Mario World 3D on the Wii U?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a quality Nintendo product.
Love it.
On a quality Nintendo system. I love it, you know, particularly when I'm on my AT&T. I love it. I'm non-stop. But in the last world, which is Bowser's World, which is kind of like Casino World.
Oh,
and it's and it's all like, you know, his face and neon lights.
It's like that.
That's what that is here.
Yeah.
Biff's world is Bowser's final world. And
big
thing.
tall casino thing.
You know, he's got a big cigar burning money with I love it. I love that Biff kind of goes from being this goof in the first movie to being like, whoa, if any old dickhead had the power and means to do it, he probably would ruin the world.
Yeah.
And you get to hear the story of how Biff is the luckiest man in America.
Yeah, the little mini automated tour thing about
That's so cool.
Come in here and you can find out the story of Biff.
And it's like,
here's most of the story of Biff.
Come visit our Museum of Exposition. It would be too long to do it otherwise.
Placed loads of bets.
He placed loads of bets, won loads of money, and my particular favourite is him showing all the different people he's married over the years. It's like him and Marilyn Monroe photoshopped in like, hey, I've done all right for myself. So he's made this massive casino, legalised gambling, has the whole town in his pocket.
This is where I was thinking this movie is properly silly. Just because of the...
You thought it was too much?
No, I think I realised that it's really silly, but that's what's enjoyable.
Yeah. It's ludicrous.
This felt like a kind of weird fever dream or something.
Definitely, yeah. It's so strange.
The pacing is so good because there's always something happening.
There's always a feel or a need that they should be running.
Yeah.
You know?
I was never bored.
That's a good sign.
I realise that now.
That's
There's
good.
no, can't wait for this to be over.
I felt on edge with this a lot of the time, you know, even though I've seen it before. Biff has also married Marty's mother, and also it's implied that he's murdered his father.
Yeah.
That's not so good. The first movie, we had the awkward situation where Marty nearly slept with his mother.
Yeah.
The second movie, we had the even more awkward situation where Marty just stares at his mother's breast implants and is like, Mom, you can't have boobs.
Well, so he gets knocked out
by
the casino security, I guess.
Casino zone guards.
Yeah, and then they take him up to the 70-something floor.
Yeah, which is where Biff lives.
And he wakes up next to his mum, stares at his mum's boobs.
Yeah.
And then does a kind of...
Whoa, Mom, you're hot. They did it in the first movie. Again, it's the same thing.
You've got so big. I'm like, ugh. Just say that. But Mum, you've got massive tits. Like...
Can you imagine the amount of awkward dads and sons sitting watching this movie?
God, that would be awful. Yeah.
It's up there, you know? It's really got to be up there. Yeah, this was the moment where you exclaimed, this is fucking daft.
Yeah, because it is.
Yeah, so he's his dad now is technically his stepdad is Biff. And, you find out that, it's a marriage of... I don't know what is a marriage, but it's really dark.
No one's happy.
Yeah, he's like, you can't leave me because then, I'm paying for all your kids and you're all dependent on me. I'll cut them off. Yeah. Your brother will go back to prison. It's really horrible. Really, really horrible stuff.
And then there's the big reveal from Marty's mum when she's like drinking and sad, and he's asking about his actual dad, not stepdad Biff.
Not step Biff.
And it's revealed that George is dead.
He's dead!
And the face and the music is just... That was like a big laughter moment. And it cuts immediately to the graveyard. Marty searching around.
Marty scratches around and says, yes, your father
just
is
double
dead.
Check.
Born, died, which is underlined 3 times.
Yeah.
Definitely dead. So Doc shows up and he's like, I knew you'd be here when I found out your dad was died. That's convenient.
You need to double check on the grave.
Double check, I don't know, belt and braces. You want to be sure, Marty. You want to be sure. And Doc then, thankfully, explains everything for those of us who were not paying attention.
Yes, he goes back to he's got a crap base and pulls out a chalkboard and starts drawing on it.
He's got a lot of scented candles.
Yes.
I'm assuming they're scented. Einstein spotting as well, who's nice to see him back.
Yeah.
It's nice to see a dog actor get work, So Doc has explained that now there's an altered timeline, so they can't just go to the future because that future will be different. Yep. So they have to go back to the past.
And that Biff took the almanac, and you can see because here's the receipt on blue plastic for some reason.
And also in case you forgot, here's his cane, which he also left, and also he shat himself, and we've done a stool sample. And
here's a handwritten note from him saying it was me, Biff.
And there's a video footage of him laughing about it as well. So just so you know, it's all there. Yep. Doc has got his own headline on a newspaper as well.
Yeah, Emmett Brown committed.
Yeah,
front page news.
Not a lot happens in Hill Valley, I guess.
No, obviously not.
So George is dead. Emmett Brown has been committed.
Yeah.
Also, I've gone to this habit from The Simpsons. Anytime I see a headline, I always look for the sub-headline if there's a gag.
Were there any funny ones?
Oh, there's a great one. Nixon running for 5th term. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Brilliant. Could you imagine the 80s with Nixon still running the shop? Fucking hell. Amazing. At this point, when we cut back to Biff in his casino fortress, you and I made the exact same... We were writing it at the same time.
I interrupted you writing it down to make the observation that Biff is basically Donald Trump.
He's got the same shitty hair, same self-aggrandizing. I imagine Donald Trump's office
has got a painting of him in the background,
and he's got a leather gold chair with fucking tiger print on it,
a gold safe.
Burns money to light his cigars. Yeah. He is so Donald Trump here. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Do you know Trump has actually a place called Trump Tower? I'm just saying, I'm just, all right, 2015,
you just
whatever.
put a big, painted image of Donald Trump on it with him burning some money. It would be exactly the same thing.
So this is basically Hill Valley 1985 Ultra Timeline if Donald Trump wins the election. Yeah. That's what it's going to be. Yeah. He legalized gambling. And he just went back to the past, didn't he? And he found an almanac. And the almanac says people are scared of immigrants. Exploit that fact, please.
Maybe that's what Donald Trump did.
Probably.
That's why he's such a success.
Yes, that's why he went bankrupt 4 times.
Better dig out the old almanac. Get some of this money.
He's got it upside down. I don't understand what's going on. Problem I had with the almanac, which came evident at this point, and this is when Biff... He reveals to Marty, because Marty's like, great sports almanac.
Confrontation between the two.
And he takes out of his little safe. He's like, an old man gave this to me many years ago. Yeah. What my problem with the almanac was immediately was that almanac technically would become useless because the first game he won like $1 million and he won loads of other stuff. Yeah. But surely by the fact that he won the $1 million, that changes the future. And particularly as it pertains to sporting and odds and betting, the slightest change of someone winning surely would have repercussions down the line, meaning that almanac would no longer be any use.
But we've seen newspapers change when stuff gets changed.
The
results in the almanac will have probably changed as things have happened. That's what I thought anyway.
That makes sense then.
Because it's from the future.
Yeah.
And they've looked at things, and when they've gone back in the past and they've changed stuff, those things change.
Oh,
so that's the only thing I think. Because, it does make sense that if someone places massive bets on a team and does stuff and changes what's happening in the world, that the teams will act differently.
Okay, what happens then in a scenario when then he's got the almanac...
I I don't think the writers of this film
no.
thought about this.
He gets the almanac, he goes back to the future, or back to the past, or wherever the fuck, and then
Yeah.
it's a timeline where sports does no longer exist and has been banned.
Yeah.
Does that almanac turn into a black hole then?
The word sports changes to news.
No, it turns into a bottle of delicious almanac is what happens in that instance then.
Yeah.
So Biff spills the beans, but then he tries to...
spills the almanac.
Yeah, he spills them anywhere. He spills the beans, and then he tries to spill Marty's beans.
Yeah.
Because beans are red, and he wants to kill Marty and make
okay.
blood come out of him by shooting him. Because the old man told him in the past that if a doctor or a stupid-looking kid came asking questions...
Kill him.
Kill him. And who needs an excuse to shoot a child, you know?
Not
Obviously
Biff.
not Biff. Marty roof escapes with Doc.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
Kind of like he's like jumps off and he's like standing on this flying car.
I mean, they didn't really did they synchronize that? Did they know that was going to happen? It's a movie. It doesn't matter.
I mean, it was quite fun, but also, you know, health and safety
The whole kind of
violation.
Biff like saying, jump off the building, a suicide is nice and neat. What?
It's not. Like, you've 77 floors.
Yeah. Oh, well.
When he jumped off the edge of the roof, folks, Sam turned to me and went, da, 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 da. It was a real I should have broke your thumbs moment.
Yeah. And then Doc, I think, says something about going back to the future. And just like Great Scott, they say Back to the Future about 5 or 6 times in this movie.
Even though they go back to the past way more than they go back to the future.
They've said it so many times.
So they go back to 1955 because they have to stop Biff getting the almanac, or at least destroy the almanac when he does get it.
Yeah.
There's 2 Martys and 2 Docs, etc. It's they're going back to the events of
The first
movie,
yeah.
which is really cool because they, you know, there's lots of cool moments where they're kind of doing scenes from the previous movie and you see them in the background.
Clever.
It's very clever. Makes you want to rewatch the first movie, I would imagine. Yeah.
I noticed that Biff from 1955 looks more 2015 than 2015 Biff.
With the shirt, that print
back
shirt,
hair.
shaved sides.
Yeah, the rolled up sleeves on the shirt.
Yeah.
And the rolled up
Denim, yeah, no, very much so.
Looks very 2015.
It's serious grade A bullying from Biff as well.
He's great.
He nicks a ball from kids and he just throws it away.
I laughed a lot at that.
Yeah.
Proper classic bullying.
And of course...
For no reason.
For no reason.
No reason.
And all the children are just so sad. Like they're not even sad, they just go quiet. Oh. I guess we're not playing with a ball today.
That man ruined it.
Walks away. And Nintendo's not even been invented yet. Damn
What
it.
are they going to do to entertain themselves?
Grade A, you know, inappropriate attacks from Biff as well as he runs over and tries to lift the skirt of 2 girls.
Yeah.
Ah!
We remember this from the first film, though.
Him running
is
out
who
and
he
going,
is.
I'm going to marry you.
Yeah.
Ah!
They're all threatening someone into being
Thanks
in a
for
relationship with you.
reminding us.
Yeah.
Yikes. So Biff meets Biff. And he gives him the almanac. And Biff is so dumb he can barely even comprehend
What's going
what's
on.
going on. I like the idea that even if you're a ding-dong like Biff is, when you're older, you are wiser than your younger self. Yeah, that's to look forward to.
He does think of young Biff as like a idiot butthead kid.
Yeah, when he says, like, make like a tree and get out of here, he's like, do you know how stupid you sound when you say that?
That's cute because at some point someone must have explained that.
You're an idiot.
Mate, it's not that at all. It's like, oh.
Oh, no.
If only I could go back in time and tell young me. Wait, Biff is the one who tells Biff that it's stupid.
Self-fulfilling prophecy again.
Yeah.
Ah.
But then he must have... But he will have known because he will have told him so. Oh, time travel's weird.
Time travel is weird. Time travel will make you think that Back to the Future is kind of silly, and then you start thinking about it and go, oh, it's actually confusing, so therefore it's clever.
Yeah.
It is. You're confused. It has to be clever, Sam.
So he's told him that that's wrong, which
Sam,
is why he knows that it's wrong to tell him that it's wrong.
Sam,
and it just loops round forever.
Either the movie is clever or we're dumb.
Yes.
And I'm not admitting to being dumb yet.
Clever movie.
Clever movie. Oh, what a clever movie. Good job, movie, being all clever. They revisit the dance from the first movie.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Marty's tailing Biff the whole time, trying to get his hands on the precious almanac.
Yeah.
Marty is incognito, wearing a leather jacket and a hat, basically disguising himself as Richard Hammond. And I was wondering the way...
He's literally dressed as the incognito little thing in Google Chrome that when you go into incognito mode, he's dressed as that. He's gone fully incognito.
I was kind of hoping with this that...
I mean, what incognito mode in Chrome?
I mean, yeah, exactly.
I never use
that. And no need to, Sam. Nothing to be ashamed of. But I was wondering, though, given the fact that he was looking like Richard Hammond so much, if we were going to continue the long tradition of product placement, and you have a quick pop at Morrison's there,
Yeah.
On the way home, big adventure, need to get milk and something easy for the tea. Well, that's
lots of cars.
Lots of cars.
Which Richard Hammond likes.
Exactly. Richard Hammond loves cars.
Loves a car.
He gets his hands on the almanac eventually from the principal who confiscated it, but it's ooh la la inside. For a fairer time when porno magazines had French titles.
Yeah.
Ooh la la.
Is ooh la la French?
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la.
Well, I assume ooh la la. It sounds like a French.
That's like when you ask someone if they know French and they say, yeah, ooh la la, bonjour.
Mamma mia.
French.
It's all the same. No good Europeans. We get to see the knockout punch from movie number 1. Except this time, it's not Crispin Glover knocking him out. It's some other guy whose face you can't see properly. Yeah. Marnie finally gets the book. And he says he's going to give him CPR. And he punches him right in the face.
Takes the book.
Biff does get it in. Actually, nice to see Biff continually getting comeuppance.
Yeah.
That's
the
nice
whole porno in the book thing is why they mentioned dust jackets.
Exactly, yeah.
The dust jacket's covering it.
Everything happens for a reason, Sam.
Biff told Biff.
Biff told Biff about the dust jackets.
Yeah.
Biff's goons chase Marty, and in quite an odd moment, they all stand up waiting to jump Marty from the first movie, who's playing Johnny B. Good.
Yeah.
And they all kind of stand there in, like, if you're walking past them in Pokemon, they'd be like, and they'd walk towards you, but they're just out of sight, so they just stood there looking for trouble.
Yeah.
And thankfully, they don't make a move, so Marty can very carefully walk across the scene from the first movie and drop a sandbag on them.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's really clever that they've managed to literally work around the shot from the first movie. Yeah. It's really, really cool. Yeah. When I first saw this, I was blown away. Because I was like, that's so seamless. But they've obviously re-recorded
It's quite
parts,
seamless.
but it's very, very well done.
Did they use any footage from the original?
They used a mixture of footage and reshoots, yeah. So it's
well done.
It's really, really well done, definitely. So Biff actually manages to reclaim the oilmanac from poor old... I mean, this is like horrible, because it's like, they got it, then they don't. It's just like the first movie. They've got it saved. No, they don't. But they do. No, they don't. Yeah. These last 5 minutes will be excruciating. You are going to fucking sweat blood. So we have the obligatory big chase as we have Biff driving away in his Ford car, quality car, very good, and being chased in a hoverboard, which makes another appearance. I thought this was pretty cool, actually. It was a lot more impressive than the first hoverboard sequence.
Yeah, there's a bit of like grabbing onto a car to get some speed and then going faster than the car somehow.
Yeah, there's a point where he's like in the tunnel and Biff is like floors it. He's like, oh shit, he's got to get him. Yeah. And then it cuts back to Biff and he floors it again. So it's like, what, did you go max speed and let off and then go again? Have you got a problem with the gears, Biff? Like, I mean, it's just... should you be driving stick shift if you don't really feel comfortable with it at this point? But he manages to do a sweet move, which is something out of Tony Hawk's Pro Skating skateboard game, where he flips over and gets the almanac and gets saved by bunting. I think we've all been saved by bunting at one point or another in our lives. And, of course, in the fitting end, Biff gets pooped once again.
And he hates manure.
It goes in his mouth. Ew.
He hates it.
Ooh, it went in his mouth. Ooh.
He's not one of those ones who loves it.
No.
He hates it.
He's not like you and I, Sam, who relish manure.
He hates it, so that must be awful for him.
Someone's not a farmer, obviously. Yeah. So Biff gets covered in poop. The almanac gets burned, and the headlines...
Finally, the almanac gets burned. The almanac's been back and forth in each other's knapsack. It's all over the place.
I'm just happy that it's set on fire at this point. Yeah. And it's great because the headlines they have both change. Marty's one goes from, local author killed to local author honored.
Yeah.
And instead of local scientist committed...
Commended.
It might as well have just changed the headlines to saying, everything's okay.
I thought Marty was going to be tempted to place a sneaky bet just
I
before
would
he
do
burnt
just
the
one.
almanac. Yeah. One big one.
One big one.
As a favour to maybe Jennifer or something.
A medium one. Yeah, considering he's really been shit to her.
Just buy her a fucking present.
Yeah.
With some almanac money.
Easy peasy. You have to earn that almanac money.
Just wrap the almanac.
Just get her a nice bottle of almanac. It's her favourite, okay? It would make up for the shitty way you've treated her in this movie. So, the DeLorean gets struck by lightning and just disappears.
Yeah, so...
Nothing can be okay for longer than 10 seconds in Back to the Future.
Where are they in time? They're in the 50s
55.
They've burnt the almanac.
Yeah.
So everything's back to normal.
Yeah.
And then Doc Brown, does he start driving away?
He's flying up in the sky.
He's flying anyway.
Yeah, and then he just gets zapped by lightning.
And he like nearly gets zapped by lightning, and then it's like, don't get zapped by lightning, and then he gets proper zapped by lightning.
What did I just tell you?
Yeah.
What did I just tell you?
And disappears into a cloud of
ether.
Yeah.
It's very sad because it's like a real kind of, oh shit, Marty is alone.
I mean, when he's out of range of walkie-talkie, you know there's trouble.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Big trouble with a capital T. And immediately a strange man appears.
Immediately the sequel walks up.
Yeah. A man appears and in his pocket he has got Back to the Future 3 on video and he's like, we got to watch this now. But it's a letter from Doc Brown from the 1855s.
Yeah.
The simpler times of cowboys and westerns where he's living and he's A-OK. And he's told that he needs to come by and visit him. And he's going to go and find Doc Brown, who's just obviously helped Marty from movie 1 get Back to the Future. And now he's gone back and he's like,
So our Doc from this film got zapped back to the past and now he's trying to get back to the future. But we need Doc from the first film who's different from Doc from this one who's gone back.
Well, yeah, he's like 40 years younger.
Yeah, we need him to help us get the other Doc back. Oh god, Back to the Future 3 is going to be ridiculous, isn't it? Let's have a look at some of the scenes from it.
Yeah, instead of just going the end question mark, it says to be concluded.
Concluded, so they know that's the final one.
They're kind of quite definite about that, and here we are many years later, and there's no Back to the Future 4 coming out, and a trailer for the third movie is what we end on.
That was weird.
It's awful.
I felt strange about that.
Do that in the cinema, fine, but this was a DVD.
Yeah.
Show me the fucking credits, please.
Yeah.
Give me Power of Love or something. Don't show me scenes from the movie which is next to it in the box set.
It's a bit weird. But
weird.
Is that just because they shot it at the same time and they had that footage ready to go?
And it was kind of like, oh shit, you got to see this. It was like one of the first kind of instances of back-to-back sequels being filmed. So, Back to the Future 2. Did you enjoy it more than the first movie?
Yes.
Why do you think you enjoyed it more?
I think I embraced the silliness.
Yeah.
And really, really quite enjoyed it.
I still think it's just a better movie because it's more kind of like it does more with the whole concept of time travel.
Yeah.
You see future, you see past, you see alternate future. They go back to the events of the first movie and try not interfere. It's a lot busier in a good way, I think.
Well, I was trying to mentally recap what happened in the first one before we did this.
Yeah.
And I realised it's not a lot.
No, really, no.
No. It's just one trip.
One trip, yeah. One kind of story arc. One goal in
Whereas
mind.
this was a lot of trips, a lot of things happening, a lot of what happens in the future and the past. And yeah.
It's kind of like Empire Strikes Back in the sense that it's the darkest of the three.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the fact that it's a little bit darker.
Yeah.
In that sense. It is a silly movie.
But it made me laugh a whole bunch.
Yeah, and there was laughs, like genuine laughs of that is funny as opposed to...
And some of this film is stupid.
But that's, again...
But they're kind of the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's one and the same.
Very daft.
It is a daft movie.
It's a knockabout film,
I'm really happy that you preferred this one, though.
Yeah.
Because, I think maybe the first one, because it was the first movie that we watched, which was kind of like, damn, that's got some weird kind of problems with women and whatnot, and some weird moments in it.
There's still some of that.
It's less of it here, but it's still,
yeah.
Oh, this is a franchise that simply has an issue with putting women in a prominent role.
Yeah.
Because, the way fucking Jennifer is treated in this, it's like...
Well, she's hardly in it. Is that for reasons that it's not the same actor?
I guess, but it's
in
not
the same way that
But
Crispin...
it's not as if Jennifer was in a whole ton in the first movie either.
No.
She was only in it a little bit. It's just kind of, when you have to knock her out every 5 seconds and then put her away and it's like, no, she can't be involved here. She's not part of our plans. It's just like, why even include her then? Yeah. If you're going to include her just to knock her out and get rid of her, then don't include her, you know? It's obviously meant to be a boys' club, this time-traveling business.
Yeah.
Boys and dogs only. No girls. No girls allowed. The only thing that really kind of strikes a sour note with me rewatching this was the Crispin Glover thing. Because last time I watched this, I was maybe 17. So the whole Crispin Glover thing is, now that I'm a big Crispin Glover fan now, as you're probably aware.
You feel cheated out of some.
And he's someone who I think is really cool and really awesome. Damn, he got the Hollywood shaft.
Yeah, he did.
By a bunch of no good Hollywood execs in suits who probably laughed about
Spielberg.
With their big cigars and tumblers full of almanac, swigging it down like it's candy water.
Spielberg the slacker, just just not letting him in.
And you know what as well? I'm going to say it again, the product placement in this movie.
Oh, they came on a bit strong.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Fucking. You can disguise it by a bit being kind of like, it's the future, so your brands have changed, but fucking hell.
It's strong like drinking a straight glass of almanac, and it just hits you in the back of the throat.
Right in the throat. It's a hot spice, you know? You don't want to have this straight.
They didn't have any hot spice in the movie. But
no, it didn't. Yeah. No. But, I mean, all I remember when I, Robot, which is a shitty movie with Will Smith, came out. And the whole thing about that was that he had a car that was a future car that was designed by Audi, and everyone was on its case going, oh, how shitty of them to have like a fake car in the movie. You know, every fucking brand in America seems to have their foot in this movie.
Yeah, I think the complaining about product placement, iRobot was probably when internet forums and discussion was really becoming a massive thing and accessible to everyone and blogs and things like that. You wouldn't have had that with this. You would have just watched the movie, enjoyed the movie.
It gets a free pass because people have childhood memories with it.
Yeah.
I think there might be a little bit of hypocrisy out there with that, I think.
Probably.
It's just, I mean, watching it, it's like, fuck, it's
so much.
Really on the nose.
Yeah.
Like, really, really on the nose.
And often, like, it's not necessary.
No, I mean...
To have the thing going, AT&T, we did this bit.
Black & Decker, JV, I mean...
Don't need it.
I'll say give him the Pepsi, because the Pepsi was in the first movie.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. Because the idea of, give me a Pepsi free, you have to pay for it. That was following on from that, fine.
I can understand things like that.
If you must stamp Mattel on the hoverboard, so be it. But again, the AT&T, the Black & Decker, the JVC, it's fucking slamming in everything.
Yeah.
You know? If it was invented, he would have had a Starbucks at the end of this, I think, you know? It's kind of, it's just the way it seemed, you know? Closing thoughts then.
I enjoyed it. It was silly, but I enjoyed the silliness of it. So maybe I feel better about the first one now. I don't know. It would be interesting to watch that again.
Do you want to see it be? Do you want to see 3? 3 is not better than 1 or 2.
No, it doesn't look better than 1 or 2. And I've had my fingers burnt with westerns.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, Back to the Future 3 is like 3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
Great Scott.
I'd like to see it for completing the trilogy.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've seen the best one.
Yeah, you have. I would say. That's my opinion, though, you know?
And I don't know if the third one is hailed as a classic in the way that the first 2 are.
It is hailed as being part of a classic trilogy.
Yeah.
Much in the way, though, that Return of the Jedi is considered to be the weakest of the 3. This third one here is also considered to be the weakest of the 3. I mean, generally speaking, that
we might revisit it.
We might?
I don't know.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. All right, I'll tell you what, we'll do it in 1885. To tie in again. If you were to give this a star wipe rating, then Sam, what would it be?
I want to give it a really obscure one, which is 3 3/4, because I don't think it's a 4, but I don't think it's a 3.
Well, 3 3/4. You heard it here first.
Hello, it's me, Sam, from the future. Let's go back in time and make sure you kids don't go to prison. Thank you for listening to this special episode of Cinema Swirl. This episode was produced by Kevin, it was edited by me, Sam, and the music was also by me. You can vote for our upcoming episode over at facebook.com/cinemaswirl, and as always you can follow us on Twitter, that's @cinemaswirl. If you have any questions, comments, queries or anything else, you can send it to cinemaswirl@gmail.com, that's cinemaswirl@gmail.com, and we'll put it on our net fridge and chill. I didn't make that joke at the time, it's a fridge. If only we could go back in time, eh? Anyway, thank you for listening. Subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, or any podcast thing you use. And we'll see you again next time. Cheers. Bye.
Bow, 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 bow.